All right, let's get into our next topic of the day. Now, with the spate of kidnappings in Nigeria on the rise, another ugly trend has reared its head.
People now stage their own
exactly.
It's alarming. And the reason for this is not far-fetched: money. But the millions of naira paid as ransom to secure the release of kidnapped victims over the years has made kidnapping a lucrative and seductive trade to many.
Now, in recent times, the media has been awash with stories of people faking their own kidnap, not minding the hell they put their families through just to lay hands on some cash.
Well, this unfortunate and shameful act played out again early this month when the traditional ruler of Shangisha community in Lagos State staged his own kidnap on July the 5th along Center for Management Development Road in Ikosi Isheri local council development area of the state. While it is very disheartening that such a highly placed individual would engage in such a shameful act, it seems not only monarchs do such.
Now, in 2015, one Belinda Chinwe Bossa, a student of Delta State University, was arrested for staging her kidnap so as to extort money from her parents. Beatrice, in connivance with her lover, Sunday Ogagawotu, demanded a ransom of 500,000 naira from her family, and the money was paid into Sunday's bank account.
Well, the culprits were arrested in Port Harcourt when Sunday attempted to withdraw the ransom money from the bank. On Friday, the 14th of July, the Oyo State Police Command paraded a 37-year-old woman, Bukola Ogun, who planned her own kidnap in order to scare her husband into relocating her and her children to the United States.
Now, the Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Odude, says Bukola conspired with 3 other persons, including her cousin, to arrange the crime. Now, the suspects demanded 10 million naira ransom from Bukola's husband.
We have very amazing. Apart from this revelations we just read, it was a case of a guy as well from Akwa Ibom that staged this kidnap and demanded 60 million naira from his brother. Eventually they settled and the brother paid it. And when he returned home, he was looking so frail and haggard. Eventually when he was arrested, they asked him how he pulled that off. He said he lodged himself into a hotel, starved himself of food for 3 days, and then trekked from Iyano Ipaja to Ifo. That's another state.
That's from one state to another state.
Just to look tired, frail, and
look kidnapped.
The extent people would go just to get money.
All that for money. But we have a security consultant, Dennis Amakri, joining us to discuss this in the studio now. Dennis, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I saw you were smiling.
The love of money.
This is really embarrassing, I must say, however way it comes out. But it's also very funny when people, because they're looking for money, have to stage their own kidnap. What do you make out of this?
We've gone to the next level of kidnapping. You know, if you follow the trend, you'll see that, first of all, it started with the Niger Delta militants.
Exactly.
And then they were not taking ransom. And then they were just attracting attention to their plight. And then after that, it moved on to the southeast, where they started collecting money, and then it expanded from there all the way to Lagos, and then to other states in the west. So the main factor there is money. Ransom. People see it as lucrative. And you have to realize that kidnapping is a low-risk, high-yield crime. That means it doesn't take much for somebody to kidnap somebody. But then they ask for 10 million, 100 million, and people are paying. And as that kind of money comes in, coupled with the economic situation in the country, where a lot of unemployed people are roaming the streets, poverty, greed. People are just all over the place, where you find out that, like they said, the idle mind becomes the devil's workshop. I think that's where we are.
All right, so what role now can we say, or who can we blame for this really? Is it the inability of security institutions in the country to prosecute kidnapping suspects? Is it what is now fueling this in the society?
That is one of them, you know, where the security agencies will actually, they are trying right now, you know. In fact, the last one with the Bale was very, very fantastic investigative procedure they carried out there. to get everything out. But we still have situations that encourages kidnapping, whereby no prosecutions, you know, there is nothing done by government to discourage, you know, the kidnapping. And like I said, it's a low risk, high yield. So why not we make it a high risk, low yield event?
Yeah, but in the face of that, how about all the laws that were put in place against kidnapping?
Yeah, the law
Isn't
is
that
the law
a
is
deterrent
active.
factor enough?
The law is active only when you are caught. You know, so
When you're caught or even prosecuted, because
or prosecuted,
there are suspects in
because there are
custody.
people that are caught,
They are not in court.
and then now, let's come back to one case that is very, very important, and we really have to face it. Evans.
Yeah.
Evans had been arrested for how long now? And they've still not taken him to court. And before you know it, people start forgetting, and before you know it, Evans is gone, or they'll tell you he has escaped. You know, the government should be very decisive in arresting, prosecuting, jailing them harshly. Then it will discourage other people.
Oh, but in the case of Evans, from the police authorities came out to say that investigations are meant to be carried out in South Africa and in Ghana, and they got injunction in that regard.
That's why we also said that they should not have rushed to the media. They should not have rushed to the media. They would have finished all their investigations before they even called the press.
All right, so let's go back to the Shangisha Bale of Shangisha story again. If you, like you said, you already said that the police did a fantastic job in cracking that crime.
Yes.
Because if you follow the revelation, it was quite impressive, and many have commended them for that. Because they said they noticed him in Ibadan, in another state, while he was driving around. And then it begs the question, really, is it about not having the will to want to do the job, or the Nigeria police force is just overwhelmed in some cases?
I think the will has to do a lot in this case. For instance, the governor went ahead and deposed him as a ballet. Then what next? I hope they're not just going to depose him and then he goes home.
It.
That guy should be prosecuted for what he has done. It's just like people being prosecuted for trying to commit suicide. You know, that guy should be prosecuted because he has committed a crime. And, you know, made an example to others who are going to be faking their own kidnapping and all kinds of things, because it's all over the place. Just like
it's
you
actually
mentioned
a crime
earlier.
in the end. In the new law put in place by the Lagos State government, it's supposed to be around 14 years imprisonment if you've,
14 years
fake your own
imprisonment, yeah,
kidnap.
of course.
Oh, but in this case, how about family members who also conspired, who were in connivance with this?
Well,
what's their place in this
They are
whole
accomplices. They are accomplices, and accomplices are part of the crime. So when they go to court, they also have their own level of sentencing that they're going to get.
So when we say that it's because it's the rise of kidnapping and other crimes in the country that is making this to fester, there was also an incident that is still on the news about a soldier, Lawal, in Calabar, that faked his own kidnap as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because he went for an illegal operation in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, and that is a security operative that is supposed to know better.
Yeah.
So
Well,
are we seeing a threat here that we're not even talking
a
about?
security operative that is supposed to know better, not all security operatives know better.
Well, in the eyes of
the law.
in the eyes of the common
public.
man, exactly.
You
They should
And
know
the
the
law
implication of
anyway.
these things.
Yeah, we've had situations where soldiers have been known to be part of kidnap gangs, you know. But for the junior ranks in the army or police, they really don't know the consequences of what they are going into. They know that it's a crime, but they go into it just for money. So that's why we come back to the original cause, which is poverty, illiteracy, greed, and then, of course, the disparity in society, where some people have not eaten for 2 days. Meanwhile, they see a guy who is flaunting money anyhow, you know. These are the disparities in situations in the country that government have to address.
Now, in the situation where a traditional ruler of this kind is getting involved in a very shameful and a very cheap way of getting money. Does it draw attention to the welfare of traditional institutions?
Well, you have to realize that it was not actually, there was no ransom asked in this case.
Okay.
So there are many kinds of kidnapping. There are some for ritual, some for political reasons, some for religious reasons, and this particular one was for political reasons.
Yeah.
If you go into the story, you discover that, you know, he's just trying to embarrass the government. He's bitter about something. And he wants to embarrass the government. So in situations like that, you also handle it properly.
But then can we shy away from the fact that many have died in the dens of kidnappers or while being taken away? For example, the sad incident of a permanent secretary in Osun State that was kidnapped, and a few hours later, her body was found dead by the roadside.
Yes, sometimes by accident. Some people are very sick. They are normal when they are moving around, but they have to take drugs to keep them alive. Now, if they go into the kidnappers, then they are not open, accessible to all those drugs, and then they might die. Number two, some people are, you know, the trauma that they get could also kill them. That's why when negotiating for this kind of kidnap situations, you always want a proof of life. You want them to tell you that the person is alive. You want to speak to the person to make sure that the person is alive. For two reasons. One, to make sure he's alive. Secondly, to make sure that you are dealing with the right people. Because there have been gangs that, you know, they hear a particular kidnap case, and then they come up and call the family and say, we are the people.
We are the people.
You know.
Wow.
And then also you want to make sure that the person is not dead. Because there have been situations where the victim has died, but they continue negotiating and actually collected the ransom, and then only to go and find out that the person has died.
So it won't be like double jeopardy,
Yeah,
as the case
of course.
may be. Now, in all of this, let's look into the issue of budgetary allocation to defense security related issues. Every year we keep getting very high budget allocation. Lagos State is one of the states giving the highest allocation and support to security generally.
Yes.
Now, but we still have these issues, security challenges here and there. How justifiable do we say these allocations are in that case?
That's where you have the political will coming into play. You know, the political will to pursue this, you know, crime. Some governors really don't care. They are very, very lackadaisical about it. Sometimes it's even political, where people in government are aware of the kidnap, you know, and they know why the kidnap is going on, and that's why we're saying that, you know, we discourage governments from paying ransom, because you pay and they come back again. They know that, you know, they will kidnap a government official, a commissioner, for instance, and these days it is very, very common, a legislator, and they expect government to pay. And when government pays, they come back again after spending the money. So, you know, some countries have made it a policy. We don't pay ransom, you know. And I think the Nigerian governments should try and take that policy.
But will it be that easy anyway? So back to fake kidnapping now. Of course, we can never shy away from the place of intelligence gathering. Is the heart of every investigation. But then, how important is it for security operatives to not stop their investigation even when victims are found or released? Because if you check the trend of all the fake kidnaps, it was most usually after they were released, the so-called victims were released, that their accomplices were arrested and they found out that they were staged.
Well, that's why I'm saying that proper investigation should be carried out. When you try and get the victims, you should try and wrap up all the accomplices. It's the same thing with like Evans. Evans was paraded while some of his accomplices were in Port Harcourt and other places, and some of them took off, you know, so you're not getting everybody. And that's why it has to be discreet, and at the same time, it should be very wide. And then you can come out to tell people that this is what we have. And within 24 hours, they should be in court.
Now, when we compare when we compare Nigeria with other countries, we see certainly the challenges people put forth to say this is the reason why there is this kind of social decadence, there's this issue of kind of crimes. You still find all of those kind of crimes in other countries, but you don't see the extent to which people react and go into other social vices like in other African countries. What's the difference?
Well, I think in some countries they take it more seriously than we take it in Nigeria. Yeah. You know, a lady planned the kidnap of her own daughter in the UK, and then she was caught. She was asking for some money, and then she was caught, and then within 24 hours she was taken to court, and then she was jailed for 8 years, right away. And everybody knows. And it was like a stigma, because everybody saw her and they see her as a bad mom, you know, somebody who would want to kidnap her own child. But here we are not going into those kind of things. We allow it to filter away. We are not showing that we want to really crush this crime. We are too pussy punch about it. I think we should be able to deal with it with the kind of seriousness.
All right, so can naming and shaming be used in this incidents to serve as deterrence? For example, now everybody sees the picture of the deposed Bale.
Yes.
And, would that work?
And he should be jailed. Like, you know, the guy has committed an offense. He should go to jail. Next time, any Bale or any Oba or whoever highly placed will know that if I try to commit this crime, I might go to jail.
Or any form of crime, anyway.
Any form of crime.
Any form of
crime.
Know,
so it is, you have to show that example. Otherwise, many people will feel that if I do it, I can get away with it. So what's the big deal?
All right. The concern a lot of people have even brought forth is the issue of trying to even detect before these things happen, trying to even prevent these things from happening, not reacting after or going to arrest people after all of this. How challenging is that for Nigeria? Really?
That's intelligence gathering, where you have to really, but getting intelligence about a planned kidnap is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. One of the things that could happen is whistleblower kind of situation, which is very good. When you have to know that the kidnapping thing is not just one or two people. You know, it's a syndicate, and there are hierarchies in them. You know, where you have the catchers, the observers, the people who are surveilling the possible target, and those who actually go and catch the person.
But in the case of fake kidnapping, the fewer the number of those involved.
Yeah, the better. You know, and the fake ones, they do it right between themselves, and you really, very, very difficult for you to gather your intelligence about that. But when you come to catch them, serious debriefing should take place. You know, you have to debrief them so that they tell you everything. That will help in future, investigations.
Preventions.
Yeah.
All right, Dennis Amakre, security consultant. Thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast.
Much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.